You're still
He's like,
Howdy.
must be nice.
Marker?
Must be.
Number? Oh, great. That's a good idea.
Stan, did you ever get any breakfast?
Oh, honey, yes.
Sorry to tell you to wait. We didn't really wait that long, and you were.
Make it look face. Good morning, everybody. And we're getting ready to go on a boat trip. So now I have to do the count to make sure that we have the same amount when we start as when we end. 2, 4, 6, 8, by Jeremy, my friend. Oh yeah. My buddy.
Take a picture of her.
Washington, used in the movie Pirates of the Caribbean as the Interceptor. That's the ship that Captain Jack Sparrow stole from the British Navy.
Introduction, Captain Vince. My name is Kelly. Mine will be the voice you hear for the majority of our tour today. As Vince mentioned, we are departing from our dock down here at the south end of Lake Union. We're going to take you around here for a little bit, head down the west end of the ship canal through the Hiram M. Chittenden locks and out to Puget Sound. Currently passing us on our starboard side, or the right-hand side of the boat, it's a lovely group of 70s and 80s most days, even 90s some days. Not a glass bridge on the ship canal. With only 30 feet of clearance, it's one of the most frequently opened in the country. And the best way to view how close we come to the bottom of the bridge is to stand in the stern here with me. Look up at the wheelhouse, the blue radar above the captain. You'll see just how close we get to the bottom of the Fremont Bridge. Yeah, as you can see, we normally lower our mast and antennas, but it appears that somebody who was working last night forgot to do that, at least on the starboard side. So maintenance is going to have a field day with this. And pretty soon here, Sharon will probably make her way up to the top of the wheelhouse to re-raise our masts and antennas. There's purse seiners, more crabbers, of course, possibly some long liners as well. Unlike the Fremont Bridge, this bridge has plenty of clearance for us to pass under, even with our mast and antennas up. Unlike what the sign says, though, it has 44 feet of clearance. They actually, I think, stuck one sign over the other, making it look like it has 444 feet. Even a lovely fire boat back there, the Alki. Now, Fisherman's Terminal here is not like Fisherman's Wharf. It's not a big touristy area, but you can head on down, wander around the docks, visit with a few fishermen perhaps, find out what it's really like to be out there. There's a working fish market here, so you can buy a fresh catch as well. And there's a couple restaurants, the Bay Cafe.
Operate uses a lot less water, so if they don't have a lot of boats down here, if they just have a few or they're small, the large lock chamber on a busy day can handle a lot of boats. The record is 140 boats at one time. I've just been called around. Only varies by less than 1/8 of an inch from day to day usually.
That's where we were? Oh yeah, that's where we were. Huh. How about that? Yeah, with the sound. What down fishes were. Yeah, that's where it is. Maybe that's our white car right there that we rode in. That white car over there, huh? What? What?
See it closing back there?
Where?
Behind us.
Why?
It's going to close us in and then they're going to let the water out below us. It's pretty neat. It's a game.
Okay, we are all secure in the small lock chamber. They're closing the gate behind us, ready to lower us down. From in here, we get a great view into the large lock chamber off the right-hand side, just over the concrete wall here. As I mentioned, 80 feet wide, 800 feet.
We're going down!
Off the far side, or the other side of the large lock chamber, is the Botanical Gardens, Visitors Center, offices and shops used by the Army Corps of Engineers, who built and maintained the lock. Off the port side, or left-hand side, we get a good view of the downstream side of the spillway dam. When they're letting water out of the lake, they'll open those spillway gates and it looks like a big waterfall over there. On the far side of the spillway dam is the fish ladder. From here, the fish ladder doesn't look like much. It's nothing like the ladder you have hanging in your garage. Concrete lawns, or weirs they call them, that stair step their way through the salt water of the freshwater. They kind of zigzag. They return every year to the lake to spawn. There's also some steelhead that are a saltwater variety of trout. The adult fish make their way into the fresh water and lay their eggs that feed the lakes. The salmon will only lay their eggs in flowing fresh water.
I thought we were going to go.
When their eggs hatch, the baby salmon, called smolts, make their way back. A bit of a mystery. There's several theories about how they find their way back.
We're down here, everybody. Look.
You know, some scientists say they go up to the surface of the water and they
Small.
look at the
I'm
stars.
underground.
That's how they find their way back to the right area. They have an acute sense of smell. They can smell. They smell their way back. Like watching a ship canal dug out. There was no navigable channel for large vessels to get from the freshwater to the saltwater. Back in those days, in the early 1900s, our major industries in the Seattle area were logging and lumber, and shipbuilding, because we had a lot of good wood around here to build ships, and most of the ships were built out of wood. We had shipping and transportation, and fishing and mining. And all of these major industries depended on water transportation to succeed. So it was felt that by building the locks and the ship canal, it would greatly increase the commercial possibilities in the area, and it worked out beautifully. You noticed all of the businesses located along the water that depend upon the water and the locks for their business, like the shipyards, boat building companies, the fishermen, and the fish.
I don't know if I told you about it. When you go through the Panama Canal, there's a freshwater lake in there. Gatun Lake.
Oh, is it?
That's supposed to be one of the largest freshwater lakes in the world.
And you go through that?
And when you go through there, Navy generally, and out in this and that, they take on the hoses and wash it down. They wash all the salt off the ship. That's corrosive.
Right. It's a...
Once it's doing it, I'm just going around with the hose. Hit me up in the eye here.
Really?
Your father put some stitches in there.
Yeah, you were telling me that once.
All right, everybody, welcome to the saltwater portion of our tour. We're now down here at Shoal Bay. Just in front of us, you can see the Burlington Northern Counterweight Bridge number 4. Now, this is a train bridge. Occasionally, you'll see freight trains and all. And now, once we pass underneath it, you can see more of Shoal Bay. Now we still have Ballard off to our starboard side, Magnolia off to port. Magnolia is considered one of our more affluent neighborhoods. That's largely around the hilled areas. There are 2 hills that make up Magnolia, also a little valley. So a few of the homes on our Ballard side are multi-family dwellings. All of those over there in Magnolia, even the ones that look like small condominiums or apartment buildings, duplexes and so forth, those are all single-family homes. Now a lot of folks in this area own miniatures or replicas. Off to port in Magnolia, if you look up the hill, you'll see a very interesting. To the left of the greenhouse is a brown shed, and just above the shed now you can see the top of a miniature Space Needle, painted in the original paint scheme that the needle was painted in, galactic gold and re-entry red, orbital orange. And over here on our starboard side of Ballard, there's their first settlement, New York Alki. New York, of course, after the largest city on the East Coast. Alki was a Chinook jargon word. This was the trading language used at the time. It means by and by or someday. So they dreamed someday this area would become the New York of the West. The the most Seattle restaurant you could ask for. Head on in there. The lower portion, of course, is the fine dining room. You might want to call ahead, make sure they have room. But you can also head upstairs to Ray's. Next door, that dark brown building is the Japanese Home Court Restaurant. There are a number of those in the Pacific Northwest. First one started out back in Kirkland, Washington in the 1970s. Today there's also a couple others in Seattle, a few up north of us, and also down south. Canada. Off to the west, off to our starboard side, you can see the Olympic Mountains peeking over the hills there. This is a different terrain that we have here in Washington. This one is largely crushed, no volcanic peaks. It's also considerably shorter than the Cascades. We're also passing by a large undeveloped area out here. This is Discovery Park, the largest city park in Seattle at over 500 acres. Now this was put in place after Fort Lawton was closed. Fort Lawton was a large army base here in Seattle. During World War II, thousands of soldiers passed through the gates of Fort Lawton. But after the Korean and Vietnam Wars ended, the government decided to close many of the